GDP is up, but is your standard of living really improving? Uncover the shocking truth about how GDP can mask declining well-being, environmental destruction, and unsustainable debt. So, what exactly is GDP? GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product. It's a way to measure the total value of everything a country produces in a year. Think of it like adding up all the goods and services, from cars and computers to haircuts and healthcare. Why does GDP matter to you? Well, it's often used as a key indicator of a country's economic health. A rising GDP usually suggests the economy is growing, which can lead to more jobs, higher wages, and increased business investment. When businesses are doing well, they tend to hire more people, and people have more money to spend, boosting the economy further. This increased consumer spending leads to higher revenue and profits. However, GDP isn't a perfect measure. It has limitations. For example, it doesn't tell us anything about income inequality. A country's GDP could be high, but the wealth might be concentrated in the hands of a few, leaving many people struggling. It also doesn't account for environmental damage. A company could be polluting the environment while increasing production and contributing to GDP growth. This could lead to unsustainable development, hurting future generations. Furthermore, GDP doesn't consider the value of unpaid work, like raising children or caring for elderly parents. These activities contribute significantly to society's well-being but aren't included in the GDP calculation. Also, the rate of GDP does not accurately determine the genuine progress of a country. For instance, a country with a high GDP could still have low living standards if wealth is concentrated or essential services like healthcare and education are lacking. There are two main ways to look at GDP: nominal GDP and real GDP. Nominal GDP is the GDP measured in current prices. Real GDP is adjusted for inflation, giving a more accurate picture of economic growth. Inflation can distort the value of nominal GDP, making it seem like the economy is growing faster than it actually is. Real GDP gives a better indication of whether the country's production of goods and services has truly increased. GDP per capita, which is the GDP divided by the population, can give you an idea of the average standard of living in a country. However, it's important to remember that this is just an average. It doesn't reflect how income is distributed within the population. High GDP per capita does not guarantee financial security for all citizens, as some may still live in poverty. Understanding the limitations of GDP is crucial. While it's a valuable economic indicator, it doesn't tell the whole story. GDP impacts various aspects of your life. It affects the job market, your investment strategy, and the government's fiscal policy. During an economic downturn, the government might implement fiscal stimulus measures to boost GDP and create jobs. Monetary policy, controlled by central banks, also plays a role in managing inflation and promoting economic growth. One area that wasn't fully explored in this video is the impact of the shadow economy on GDP figures. Unreported income and transactions aren't accurately reflected, which can skew the measure. Also, we didn't delve deeply into how different methods of calculating GDP can lead to varying results and interpretations. We'd like to hear your thoughts on this, and what other topics we should consider covering in our future videos. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more content on economics and personal finance.